and then we'll go ahead and get started with our presentation. All right, well, thank you everyone. Good, good, good. You can all hear me. We'll go ahead and get started with RPR. Use RPR to create CMAs that amaze. Realtors have a variety of CMA options, and you may wonder which one is best for you. We want to provide you with a CMA tool that simplifies things for you, but you still need the flexibility to customize your analysis for each and every potential client. RPR CMA tool choices can help you stand out to home sellers and ace that next listing presentation. So what we're going to take a look at today is pricing with RPR. So we're going to go through just some background tools that RPR has to help you get an idea of how the community's doing, look at local statistics. We're also going to talk about those AVMs and RVMs and how that is a starting point for you to refine that RVM value and why you would want to refine that value. And then we're going to go through two CMAs. We're going to go through a seller's report and we're going to go through a comp analysis, which yields a seller report. And then we'll go through our more detailed CMA, which yields the valuation workbook. But to start things off, we want to back up a little bit and talk about the estimates of value. So you have your AVM, which is an automated valuation model. This is a market value estimate, which is calculated using publicly available information, where the RVM, or the Realtors Valuation Model, which is owned by members of the National Association of Realtors, is a market value estimate that includes that local layer of MLS active sold and off-market data. Now, the AVMs and RVMs are always a proprietary formula, so all of those valuations are usually different, although some of them are very close together. They are not always a matching number. And this is an estimate of market value and not a price predictor. So when we're talking about these AVMs and RVMs, the AVM, or the automated valuation model, the one that uses the public record database, this is very similar to those consumer-facing AVMs that are out on the market. If you go to Zillow, Chase, Bank of America, they all use public record data, with the exception of the RVM. Keep in mind, the RVM only appears in RPR. It is not available to members of the public. The only way members of the public get access to RPR is through a report from their realtor. So when we're talking about these estimates of value, there's three types of ways to generate this AVM or RVM value. The first way, and it would be AVMs because RPR is the only RVM that's out there. You have hedonic AVMs. And hedonic AVMs treats the property as a bundle of valued characteristics. So the number of bedrooms, the number of baths, it takes the sum, and that determines the property's estimate of market value as compared with other comparable properties. So the hedonic AVM really looks at properties' characteristics and the value of those characteristics. A hedonic AVM really looks at statistics. So this predicts the valuation based on sales trends in a geographic area. Now, specific characteristics of a subject property are not really considered except to identify similar in nature properties to use in its indexed AVM. Then you have a blended AVM. The blended AVM combines both sales trends and specific property details. It uses statistics that show the accuracy of predictions for both hedonic and index modules over time, giving each of the value weight. And then it determines what the value of the property will be. So these are the three main types of AVMs. Now, there are some limitations of AVMs. AVMs assume that the structure actually exists. It doesn't take into account that it was destroyed by a natural disaster. It assumes that they're in average condition, so it doesn't account for upgrades and the value of upgrades relative to comparable properties. And AVMs are often consumer-based sites, so they're trying to collect information to sell that information back to you. Now, I can't speak for all of those third-party AVMs that are out on the market, but I do want to take a minute to talk about the RVM, again, which is the Realtor's Valuation Model. That is a blended valuation that not only uses public record data, but it includes MLS data, current and off-market information, into a proprietary algorithm to produce the most reliable valuation information that's available. Again, this is owned by members of the National Association of Realtors, which is all of you, and it's the starting point for you to make value refinements. And then we also supply you with a confidence score within RPR. And a confidence score tells us that in our algorithms to determine the value of the property, they all came close to the same value. Okay, so because they, if a property comes relatively close to the same value, you're going to get that 5-star confidence score. And that 5-star confidence score means that you can expect a property sales price to be within 10% of the property's estimated value, 90% of the time. With that being said, I think we're going to go ahead and get started by jumping into our RPR platform. Now, keep in mind what you guys, this probably, oh, forgive me. I know it's Keller Williams, Woodlands and Magnolia, but this is probably the third webinar that I'm doing for you guys. Maybe it's the fourth webinar that I'm doing for you guys. So let me know through the Q&A if this is the first time you've joined us for an RPR presentation for your brokerage. Keep in mind when you use RPR, because Keller Williams, Woodlands, and Magnolia is a partnership with RPR, your brokerage brand recognition is already embedded in everything that you do throughout RPR. So when you go through and you're analyzing a property and you're printing a report for your client, that brand recognition is going to appear on all of the reports that you've generated because your brokerage is a partner with RPR. So you should see that Keller Williams logo on the upper right-hand side. But we're going to come in to our RPR homepage. We have actually quite a few of you are here for your second time, but I have a few of you that are here on your first time as well. And then thank you, Janice. This is the third class. I thought we've done a couple for you. So awesome. Well, for you guys, that this is the first webinar, we, I believe, shared the first 2 webinars that we've done, which we're just building on that ABCs of RPR. So take the time to go back and watch those if you have the opportunity. But we're going to come into RPR. We're going to go into all properties. And then I found a property that I'm going to go ahead and look up. It's at 2916 Cross Vine Circle. And that is in Spring, in Spring, Texas. So I'm just going to type the property address in. I'm going to click on that magnifying glass, and that's going to load our off-market public record property. So we see all of the information right here in the property detail. So before we get into the pricing tools, I want to back up just a little bit and talk about some of the other tools that we have within RPR. So anytime you're looking at a subject property and you're researching that property for information, you do have tabs along the top above the address that give you more involved information. So when you pull up a property, you can take a look at the history tab. And the history tab is going to share with you sales and financing activity, ownership information, tax information, mortgage information. Oftentimes, this is a good way to help try to understand what the potential seller motivation is. We can see the sales and financing activity. You see this checkered line here. This is the AVM or RVM over a time period. So we can see here back in 2016, the property was really high in its property value. And then it kind of jumped down, and it's been on this line for a little bit, coming up in property value and down again. So we can see that fluctuation. We can see here all prior sales transactions. You'll notice you have two little radio buttons where you can see that this property has never been listed or sold through your local MLS. But if we click this radio button for public record, we can see there was some sort of interfamily transfer back in 1999 where it went into a trust, right? So you know there's something going on there with the ownership. And then you got tax assessment information. If there's no mortgage information, no distressed property information, so they potentially have a lot of equity in this property if they're looking to sell now. If you want to see how this property compares to other properties in the zip code, you can click on the charts tab. And the charts tab is just going to share with you some market health. It does drill down to the zip code because when we're looking at statistics, we want quality and quantity of data. So we're going to see the median estimated home value versus list price, sales price versus sales volume, right? You're going to see list price versus list volume. All of these have this little link that says about this data, so you can read about the chart, see how often we're updating it. And then you'll see a little bit on inventory. We have single family residence, 156 properties. We have a link that says about this data. So this is the number of properties for sale in a zip code. It's updated on a daily basis. We have 377 distressed properties in the zip code, and one of those are actively listed in the MLS. And then we can see how this property compares to other homes. We get median sales price per square footage. Our house is a little bit higher than some of the comps in the market. The comps are averaging out to be about 319,000. You get a number of homes sold with the same price per square foot. So we can come in and see one other property sold recently within the same price per square foot. You get price per bedroom, price range of homes sold, and age range of homes sold. I want to go back to our summary page and just share with you a little bit of information about our actual property detail before we go in and start taking a look at our pricing tools. So we do get the basic facts for the property. The basic facts are going to come in from public record. And it looks like in this area that bedrooms are not recorded by the property appraiser. We do get that it's 3 bathrooms. It's a single family residence. We get the living area. We get the price per square foot. We get that it's in a trust. And then you're going to see here we have a street view and an overhead view. Now we use Google Maps for all of our images. This is actually a live photo. So you can move it around if you want to a little bit to see if you can get a better picture of the subject property. You can kind of play with that street view a little bit. A lot of the times this photo may not line up accurately if you don't get a Google Street View. Sometimes it's because it's in a gated community. But if you're looking at this image it's not very clear, it's not accurate, it's raining, there's a big truck in front of it, it was taken 2 years ago, and it doesn't look anything like that property looks like now. All these images were updated in 2020. You do have the ability to add your own photos into RPR. You just come in and say, hey, I want to upload a property photo. Wherever on your desktop you have that property photo, you can go ahead and click on it, import it into RPR by selecting open. Once you get it opened into the platform, you can hit the edit button, and then you can use that image for the cover page of your report. So that is an option if you want to use a custom image for your property. You'll also see you can add property notes, and you also have a real simple seller's proceeds. You can enter the low and high encumbrances on the property, and then you can save it or print it out or use it in your report at the end. You also have the ability to add additional home facts. So if you talk to the homeowner and you determined it's a 4-bedroom property, maybe they added additional things like solar panels to the home, you can come in and add that information into RPR. That way it's there for your property reporting purposes. And then you get the median estimated home value, interior, exterior details, location details, schools based on zoning, legal description, tax information, and deed records. So you do have that good summary of information. Another thing I want to share with you in RPR, and it's always good to take a look at this when you're researching the property, is the map of the property. And I want to touch base on the map before we get into refining the RVM. The map, when you click into the map, you can zoom out a little bit, and you're going to start to see all of these parcels pop up in the map view. They do have a monetary number below the property. These are off market. What you see here is the RVM value. If it's an actively listed property, it's going to be blue. If it's a recent sale or a recent lease, it's going to be green. If it's pending, it's going to be navy. If it's distressed, it's going to be red. So you can get an idea of what's going on inventory wise just with that aerial view of what's going on. But if you want to get a little insight into market conditions, you can just go to the lower right of the heat maps. And this is where you can choose the market condition that you want to display. And it just overlays a color scheme to share with you that variation in the data values. So if you want to take a look and see if property value growth has appreciated or depreciated in the last 12 months, you just click that heat map property indicator. Now I have a question. How did we get to the map? If we are looking at a summary of a property in RPR, on the right-hand side, you're going to see the map, and you just click that link that says bigger map view. It opens up and drops your property detail down to the bottom. So I hope that helps answer your question. But here we can come in and overlay those heat maps and look at that 12-month change in estimated value. Just below your heat map selection, you'll see the scale for what you're looking at. So if you see an opaque kind of color, you're at minimal property value growth, 2.5% property value growth year over year. As you get into your darker reds, you're dropping into property value depreciation. As you go into your deeper blues, you're going into explosive property value appreciation. So you can come in and see those pockets where property values have just grown exponentially in the last year, as opposed to these pockets that have had a really good property value depreciation over the last year. And here we are kind of in that opaque minimal property value growth. Maybe you want to take a look at the concentration of distressed properties. Maybe you have your average sales price, your average list price. You have your pending sale concentration if you want to see if you have heavy movement of properties that are going under contract. One of my favorite is the list price versus sales price. So you may have graphs that are showing you have minimal property value growth. Maybe you're in a medium point of properties that have financial distress. And then all of a sudden you come to this map and you're in a little pocket of blue where around you are all of these pockets of red. So these pockets of pink and red, properties are selling below list price at point of sale. But where we are, we're in a little pocket of blue. And properties are selling probably 2% to 5% above your list price. So that's a great one to take a look at as well. And then of course, if there's ever a question about flood data, you have your flood zone map in your heat map as well. So in just a few minutes, when we talk about the RVM value and ways that you can refine the value, I want you to think about what these heat maps were telling you. So I'm going to click this link into the smaller map. And then I want to go back to our PowerPoint presentation because I want to, again, just go over that RVM value, which is the realtor's valuation model. It's a blended valuation and it's a starting point for you, okay? Every RVM is going to give you that confidence score, and I'm going to share with you where you can get this information right when you're in RPR. But when we're talking about refining the value of a property, okay, you have 4 ways to refine the value in RPR. This could be due to public record error and omissions, if there's a lack of accurate square footage, if bathrooms are not recorded accurately. You can modify the value because of home improvements, and it's not only home improvements, but the quality of the improvements. Maybe there's needed improvements that need to be done to the property. And then you have home and market conditions, which relate back to that heat map that I was sharing with you guys just a few minutes ago. So let's go back into RPR and look at this property and talk about that RVM value. So right here below the property, you will see that RVM values at 332,000. We analyze these properties every 30 days. And because we look at what's going on every 30 days, we're going to be able to tell you what that increase or decrease was month over month and year over year. And then below the RVM value, again, is a link that says view details. So I want all eyes on my screen, on the Zoom screen. You're looking at a subject property summary, so you want to make sure you're on that summary tab. You're going to get that RVM value, which is that automated estimate of market value. And below that value, you're going to have a link here that says view details. And when I click into view details, you are going to get a page that you can print out if you want to use it in your pricing discussion. So you can come in, you can print this page out. You'll get a little printer pop up sometime. My computer likes to take forever, but you can print that page out. You get a little map here in the middle. That map is going to share with you your subject property. It's also going to give you a sampling of properties that were used to determine this value. You're going to get that RVM range. Remember, it's assuming if this property at 2916 Cross Vine Circle is in average condition, okay, compared to the other properties, it's going to be right at 332,000. If it's below average, it could be as low as 285. If it's above average, it could be as high as 387. And then you're going to get that confidence score. So right again, you can hover, you see the confidence score, 4 out of 5 stars. You get this little information icon. You can read about what that confidence score is. And then you have a link here that says, hey, what is that AVM or RVM confidence score? And it's going to bring you to a nice little article that gives you that rating. So all of the information is right there in the report. So it's that view details link. You see the map view of the sample of properties that were used to determine the value. And then you have that list view of the properties that were used to determine the value. So you can come in and get an idea if this property is in relative comparable condition, if it's below average or above average to these properties, and if you need to refine that property's value. So if you want to refine this property's value, you're going to go just to the right of the RVM button. You'll see the option to refine. So you can go ahead and click refine. And there's 4 ways to refine the value. So you can refine the value by adjusting the basic facts of the property. So just as an example purpose only, let's say there was an error on the living area square footage, and it was off by, we'll just say it was 2,380 square feet. So because it upped the square footage a little bit, it's going to come in and add that value, okay, to the property detail. I'm sorry, guys, if the audio is going out, it's either the audio in my area going in and out, or it's the internet in your area going in and out. So let me just try to fix my headset, make sure my mic and everything's lined up, and hopefully that'll help it a little bit, but I do apologize. So you can refine the value due to errors and omissions from public record. And you will see here, there is a restore option that's available. So you can restore those basic facts for the property. Now you can refine the value based on home improvements that were done to the property. Now here we have one of these little blue information icons. Pay attention to these little icons when you see them. They usually have nuggets of really valuable information. And this blue information icon is just going to share with you, we use a third-party source to determine our refinement values. That third party is a company by the name of Hanley Wood. They're an industry leader in housing market development data for both new construction and home improvement data. They review this information annually and at a regional level. Okay, so this will fluctuate, these values will fluctuate depending on where you are in the country and the type of improvement it is. And these are updated every year. So it's not stale information. So when you're looking at refining the value based on home improvements, you will have a list of improvements that are available. You'll see you have attic insulation, bathroom remodels, deck additions. Maybe they came and added a deck. You're going to come in and it's going to tell you, hey, this is a deck addition, mid-range. This is the description of it. You could enter what the completion date was, how much the cost of it was, all this information you would get to the seller or from the seller. You can add that and see what the home improvement value would be. Now, if the homeowner feels they've added a deck, but all of the other properties around them all have decks, well, your seller's property is kind of in average condition, right? Because all the other properties have decks that are to the same value of your homeowner's property. So kind of keep that in mind when it comes to the condition of the property relative to those around it. Now, maybe our homeowners added solar panels for energy efficiency. And not a lot of other homes in the market area have that. And you guys, you know, you're in Texas. I actually live in the Tampa Bay area in Florida. But I do think your market is just about tied with us as far as the amount of sun that we get on an annual basis. So this could really be a value saver for consumers. Let me know if you guys use a lot of solar panels in your market. We use them. But here you'll see solar panels are not on this list. So there is an other on the bottom where you can come in and say they added solar panels. They added those panels in March of 2018. The total cost for the solar panels was, you know, $5,000. You can add that and see it does get put onto a very generous depreciation scale. So you do have the ability to pick the refinement from the list. You can remove added values if you feel it's not important or equal to neighboring properties. You can also refine the value based on needed improvements. So if you're coming in and saying, well, the carpets really need to be replaced before you sell the property, you have your carpet company come out and they take a look and they say, well, if we're going to do just a neutral Berber for, you know, 4 rooms and this amount of square footage, it's going to run you about $10,000. It's going to depreciate the home's value by about that information. I'm just getting feedback that you guys have whole communities that have solar panels. I don't think we're on a community level yet here in Florida, but you do see them popping up more and more. And they, from what I understand, do amazing things to your energy bill. So you can add that type of improvement to the property. Then you can come in and refine the value just based on local market conditions. And this is really where I feel that your guys's level of agent expertise and market knowledge comes to the table. You guys know what's going on in your market. You have that sense of how this area is handling real estate in this COVID-19 type crisis. So you may come in and say, well, I know, you know, consumers, they may have concerns, but right now our local market conditions are pretty good. Properties are selling above list price. We have low days on market, although we don't have a high inventory of properties that are for sale right now. Those properties that do get listed get under contract very quickly. That's kind of how it is in Florida. We're at a low inventory period, but properties go on the market, and if it's a good property, it's gone. Like, they just go poof. You have buyers waiting in the wings. So you're just coming in saying, hey, I know it seems on the surface with COVID-19 that we would have a below average market, but this home is in the right neighborhood. There's not a lot of competing inventory. It's in a good condition. It's going to sell, vice versa. So you're using this sliding scale to share your local market knowledge of the health of the market. Then you have, hey, how's the exterior condition? Well, it could use a little bit of curb appeal compared to some of the other properties in the area. It's not that bad. Trees need to be trimmed up. The lawn could use some fertilizer. It's fixable, but it is going to bring the property value down a little bit. Then you have the interior condition, the lot size, the view, the privacy. You're just using these slider scales to come in and say, overall, looking at the basic facts, home improvements that were done or needed, you can come to a better understanding of what that RVM value would be. And if I click back to my summary page, you're going to see that initial RVM value is right here. And then your refined value is just to the right of that. And please keep in mind, if you're utilizing this information for your property, this information is only visible to you, the agent, And it's only visible to your client if you choose to share the information with them. So you're customizing how you go through all of this information. Now, again, this is not a price predictor. So to really understand what similar nature properties are selling for in the market area, you want to be able to come in and create a CMA. So we have our RVM value, we have our refine value, and then on the summary page, just to the right of that, is the CMA tab. And you can click into that CMA tab and start your comparative market analysis. You can also navigate just by using the tabs at the top. So you can go from your summary to your refined value, jump from your refined value to your comp analysis. So this is your navigation as well. Okay. And I'm going to go back to our refined value because I do have a question. And I have the attendee is, just like you depreciated the value of the home because it needed carpet, if you recently added new AC, new carpet, do you need to add those items to give greater value to the home? And I would use your judgment. If the home had something improved upon, like the AC, I would probably add it, because to me, that's a huge initiative and a high point with a buyer when they come into the property. You know, when they're seeing a property, if they're told, oh, it has a whole new AC unit, it was installed last year, that's like, woo, one less thing I have to worry about. So in their mind, that's value to the property. If it's something like carpet and it's just an average carpet, I don't know if I would add that or not. Now, if it was a property that was used as a rental and it's being listed and the carpet is just absolutely destroyed, and a buyer would walk in and be like, I don't even want to step on that carpet just to preview the property, then I would go in and add it as a needed improvement, because a buyer is going to look at that and say, well, this property is listed for, you know, for $330,000, and I'm going to have to spend 10 grand in just replacing the carpet. So use your expertise, but you're on the track of how you can use these refined value tools. You know, don't overdo it, don't double dip. And then you come to your comp analysis. Now we have two of these that are available to you with RPR. We have a sales comparison analysis, which is this one on the bottom. That is a more detailed valuation. We're going to go through that quickly, but we are going to start with the comparative analysis, which is building an estimate based off of comps. And I do have a question on how it compares to HAR's MLS CMA tool. If you want to tell me a little bit about the CMA tool, I would be happy to highlight that. But from my years in the industry, I believe HAR, they have isn't theirs a homegrown MLS, or are you guys on like market links, like a product? If you're like Matrix, I could probably tell you, but if it's a homegrown, self-developed MLS, I can't really comment on that. Oh, you're on Matrix. Okay. I haven't. Okay. So Matrix, your Matrix CMA, when you use your wizard, is probably going to be more closely related to the sales comparison analysis, because with that CMA, you make monetary adjustment amounts. So you'll see the difference with both of these. And another thing that makes RPR a little bit easier, in my opinion anyway, to use, since our ground layer of information is public record data, If it's a public record sale, it just automatically comes up within the list of comps if it meets the criteria. I don't have to go in and add comps from Realist by going to the add button, finding it, importing it, populating it. It's just already in there, which makes it really nice. So let's go through this, and then if you have any questions, I am happy to help with those questions. So we're going to start with that sales comparison analysis. It's 4 simple steps. Step number 1, confirming those home facts, the beds, the baths, the living area, the lot size, the garage, the pool. If you have any additional fields that you want to add, maybe it's frontage, maybe it's in a gated community, maybe it's waterfront, golf course frontage, maybe it's on a conservation lot. So you can add additional fields if you want to use that feature within your CMA. Once I've confirmed my home facts and added any additional information, I just hit the go button on the bottom, and it's going to bring us right into step number 2, which is finding comps. Now, your subject property is always going to be to the top. If there is a property that you want to add, you just enter the MLS ID number and hit add. You can always go back or go straight to searching an area for several properties. Property type is going to be the same as your subject property. It's a default. It's going to pull in solds. It will also give you the actives and pendings to the bottom. Again, if you have that unique feature, and all of your comps need to have that feature as well. If it's on a golf course, if it's on a lake and you want all of your comps to be on a lake, you can add that keyword, and that way it'll filter to just those comps. You have your sold date within the last week, the last month, the last 3, 6, 12, 18, it's up to you. If you want to do a date range, you can use these calendar dates. You have your property details on your beds, your baths, your living area. If you want to take any of these features out, you can take those features out. If you want to tighten up the features, if you want to include additional things like lot size, price range, price per square foot, or year built, you can use them. And then it's going to search for properties within your map view right here. Okay, so I just hit that search button, and all of the comps, boop, 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 just start popping right up on my map. Now, if I want to draw a shape and I can do a radius, I can come in and say, hey, I just want comps within a half mile. I can search within that area. If I want to come in and say, hey, I want to find comps just within some of these geographic neighborhoods, maybe it's the school zone, maybe it's the attendance zone, you can pick those geographic neighborhoods as well. Here's our subject property in orange. If you're looking for comps within the map view, you can just click on the icon. If you want to add that comparable property, you can click there to use it as a comp. Okay. So you can come in and make your selection from the map view. You can also scroll down, and when you scroll down, you'll see your selections from the list view as well. Your list view can be sorted by address, by proximity, by days on market, by sold date, amount, square footage, living area, beds, baths. It will highlight if that property was used in the RVM, but it doesn't at all impact the value of your CMA. It's just giving you a head up that it was used in the RVM. So you can come through, look through the comps, select the comps you want to add to your property. Once you have your comps added, you're just going to update your evaluation and close. Then step number 3, you're going to make adjustments. And when you make adjustments here, you're just rating your comps compared to the subject property, excluding square footage. There's some aesthetics that you can do. If I want this one first, because that's the most recent sale, I can enlarge the photos. If I real quick thumbnail through, I like all of my properties to be the front exterior view. So if I want to get that front exterior view, I can line them all up. And then I just get my side by side. And from here, how does this property compare to the subject property? I can come in and say, well, this property is, you know, a little bit worse. It's going to say, well, that's going to adjust your subject by just over $5,000, and you'll get your adjusted result. And then I can come in and say, well, this one is about average. And let's say this one is a little bit nicer. You can say this one's the same, this one's nicer, this one's worse. Okay, a little smaller on the bedroom count. You're just using these slider scales. These are going to be averaged together as you get your adjusted result and your adjusted result price per square foot. So really simple to use those slider scales. You get your side by side. You have your section for notes on why you did what in the bottom. You can include those in your reports. And then you're going to update your evaluation and close, and you'll get the result of your comp analysis. You can edit this if you want to. So we're going to come in and say, I think it's really going to be anywhere between 310 and 325. You know, you can come and save that, talk about motivation. And then your final step is going to be to generate that seller's report. So you just come right in and you hit sellers, you hit create report. And this is going to be that data supported reality check. So when we talk about this report, for those of you that are joining me for the first time on an RPR webinar, you will see you get your cover page here. Scroll all the way to the bottom and you will see a link for your full profile. So you can go in and you can update your agent photo. You can add your contact information. You can add your team photo and save it so that information goes on to the cover page of your report. You can essentially pick and choose what you want at that point in time. Just above that, like right in the center here, is where you can select or deselect your page numbers. But this is also where you can come in and manage your custom pages. So because Keller Williams, Woodlands, and Magnolia are partners with us, you will see already some brokerage reports in here. You can have up to 5 custom reports that you upload, and your brokerage can upload reports for you. So every agent will see these reports right here that say broker. I will only see the reports here that say user. So if you want to add your own reports here, you're just going to come in and add. Wherever on your desktop you have that bio, those past client testimonials, maybe you want to use those properties that were in the RVM, you can open up these reports and import them into RPR. You can shift them in any order that you want. And I'm going to come in here, and I am in the Woodlands office, I'm pretending. So we're going to come in, I want those Woodlands reports right there. So I have my reports that I want to have at the beginning, and then I'm going to put these Woodland reports at the end. I can come in and view the pages so I can see those statistics. Okay. But once you get that information in, hit save. Now, when I come in and I'm creating my seller's report, I do have the ability to come in and show a sample so I can thumbnail through all those pages, take a look at what's going to be included. And then when I determine what I want to keep and what I want to take out, I just go into more details. And then I can come in and say, okay, these are the reports that I want. Let me just do a real quick refresh. I want my Woodlands reports and not the Magnolia reports. Whoops. I'm going to have my bio. I created just a little handout that talks about COVID-19, any state or county regulations that are affecting real estate, how it could affect showings and open houses, if it impacts mortgage inspections, title, all of that information you can have on a nice little report. So I'm going to include my custom pages. I have my report elements, and I can again hover over these information icons to see exactly what that element is that I want to include. If there's anything that I want to exclude, I just uncheck that box, right? Sales and financing activity. It's going to have my CMA information, my market health. I want it to include any competing active listings. It's going to have my pricing strategy, my seller's proceeds. Okay. I'm going to limit market activity to 4 properties. I want this to just be in a side-by-side. So you're going through and you're customizing all of that information. So I had a question again, where do these reports come from the office? Your office manager would upload these into RPR, and when it's uploaded at the brokerage level, all of the agents have access to them, and your brokerage can add and remove them and update them as they need to. You do have the ability to customize this report with the seller's name. You can type in that call to action if you need to, email it to multiple email addresses, just separate them by comma, or you can just download it as a PDF. Select run report, and it's going to generate your report. And this is, again, just a sample of what your report looks like. Okay, so these are some of those flyers that are included. You get your refined value, your comp analysis result. You get those home facts, extended home facts. All of our mapping is nice, clear, crisp, any images of the property. Our reports are very clean. They're easy to read. The font is quite nice. You get that market health, that market activity. Those statistics are all included. And then it does go through your CMA, your side-by-side, full detail page by full detail page. Market activity. So this is going to give you living area, price per square foot, days on market, median age, nearby properties for sale, and then your pricing. Okay, so all of that is included in that seller's report, which is that data supported reality check. And just so you guys know, I don't know if everyone sees the questions or not, but Janice wanted you guys to know she uploads them into RPR. They get those reports around the 8th to the 10th of each month for the month prior. And so you can expect that those reports will always be up to date because Janice is updating them on a monthly basis. Keep in mind, statistical trends are always going to be a month behind when you look at the report. So if we're in May, it's going to show April. When we get into June, it'll show May. So you're always that month behind when we look at sales trends and statistics. I want to go back to the property detail, and we're going to go into our sales comparison analysis. And when this little window pops up, just go ahead and skip that step. Again, there is a little video here on what the difference is between the two. But the comparative analysis and the sales comparison analysis really are exactly the same, except for how you make your adjustments and the report that you get at the end. So when we're coming in and we're confirming those home facts, you'll see here you have much more detail on the home facts, above grade, below grade, lot dimensions, view factors, quality of construction. You can still add additional facts. You're going to find comps. But when you search for comps, you're really going to find comps the same way. You can come in and say, hey, I want to find comps within a mile. but you have your single family residence, you have your sold, you have your date range, you have your beds, your baths, your living area. You can tighten these numbers up if you want to, or include additional fields. You search for comps. You come in and you add those comps that you want to add. You can add them from the map view. You can sort your comps in your list view. And then I can come in here and find, let's just add, I don't think that was the property that we had. We'll just add this one here. When you add all your properties, you update your valuation and close, and now you're going to make your adjustments. You can still change the order of the properties. You can enlarge those photos. I got to get to the front exterior of these or it's going to make me insane. That's my thing. I got to have front exterior. Wow. Look at that. Oh, I love windows. Okay. So let's get back to that front exterior view. So now you're coming in, and when you're making those adjustments, right, you're making that monetary adjustment to the property. So if you're coming in saying, oh, well, our subject property is inferior to our bedroom in one of our comps, you need to add that value to that bedroom. We're going to add that bath value. You know, so you're coming in and you're making those monetary adjustments. If you're doing a positive adjustment, it's going to be just a positive number. But if we're going to come in and let's say we're making an adjustment for square footage, and guys, this is just for example purposes only. But if I'm going to come in and say, well, this property is over 100 square feet larger, I want to take that 124 per square foot and times that by 100 square feet. I'm going to depreciate this home's value by, you know, $1,200. You're just using that negative dollar amount to make that adjustment. So positive adjustments are just type in the number, you're good to go. Negative adjustments, you're going to use that little minus sign. And then you're going to come in, you can add your notes to the bottom on why you made adjustments either way. You can weigh them equally. You can auto weight them. So you can see how that difference is within the value. You can see where your comps line up on the map. And then you're coming in and you're updating your evaluation and closing. You're going to get that result of your comp analysis. Again, you can edit this value if you want to. And then that final report that you get is going to be the valuation workbook. This is the trickiest thing. The sales comparison analysis is tied to the valuation workbook. That is the only time you can generate this report. You can pick those reports that, or those custom pages that you want to use. Again, you can go through all of these elements. You can pick and choose what you want to include. I don't want historical photos. I want all my maps. I want all my comps. Okay. And then the main difference in these reports is this section here, which is the local market conditions summary. And if I can, usually I can get this. The local market conditions summary gives you sales trends over time. So you're going to get that 7 to 12, 4 to 6, current to 3, sales, absorption, inventory, supply, including distress listings, excluding distress listings, only distress listings. So you get that really detailed report analysis in that valuation workbook. Okay. It really is that kind of like that appraiser style report. So that is that comp analysis. A lot of this information is available through RPR Mobile. You can create a full-blown CMA in the palm of your hand. You have the ability to download the app through Apple and Android-based devices. But go and run a report, create a CMA. For all things relating to RPR, visit our blog at blog.noarpr.com. And don't forget, if you need help we do have support links at the bottom of every page. And it's not only the support link at the bottom of the page, but at the top, we have a scholar cap. And that scholar cap is a learning menu. So if you're on the comp analysis tool, you're going to have all of these resources for pricing a property, okay, that are at your fingertips. And you can open and close that learning menu as you go. So it's now or never for your questions, but guys, thank you for your time. This is recorded. I'll be sure to get it out to you guys as soon as we can. I hope you stay nice and healthy out there and have a great day. I'm going to hang out just for a couple of minutes, make sure I've answered all of your questions.